Magicians fans, good news. Magic is everywhere, but also good news. We're back. We're talking season 5, episode 1. Do something crazy right here on the Magicians After Show. So stick around because you're not going to want to miss it.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
It has been so long, y'all.
Feels like 10 years.
The time between seasons for the show, it feels like time just stretches on so slow.
We had a full year between Doctor Who.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I feel like we're in Fillory. 300 years have passed.
Exactly. See, time works in all different sorts of ways. Guys, it's the Magicians After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. We're back. We're talking season 5. My name is Ty Matthews. Joining me, as always, two of my absolute favorite hosts on this entire network. Been saying that this whole time, and it could not be more true. To my left, you said you're talking about everything from Doctor Who to The Handmaid's Tale. She'll be back later on with a brand new special segment for this season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Adrian Snow.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you again. Kind of a new segment. Kind of.
It's a little
Remix.
bit. It's, you know,
remix,
variation. And to Adrian's left, of course, we lost her early on last season, but we are so excited to have her back. You've seen her talking about everything from The Mandalorian to The Righteous Gemstones. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Sabraw.
I'm so excited to be back.
So
'Cause
excited.
I've been wondering what your opinion was of last season, because I didn't even think that we were getting a new one. So
Yeah.
I can't
Right.
wait to talk about it with you all.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Did we like last week? We had some ups and downs.
There
I
were
think,
some
but for
ups
the most
and
part,
downs for sure.
I actually rewatched it.
Me too.
And not the whole, but like a few of them. And like the very last episode, which I think I was really hard on.
Right.
I actually liked better.
Did you like it better with some
I guess I
some
changed
time?
in my life.
Yeah.
And so I had more sympathy.
Didn't it feel like an end, though?
Of the series?
Yeah, and then so I was kind of that critic watching it, like she convinced me I should watch this season, you know?
I didn't, because I thought it was really impressive that they were going to kill off the central story character, and I wanted to see how they were going to do that.
Right.
But at the same time, it's a risk. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was talking to someone about it a couple days ago, in that they've kind of created this world where death never really feels permanent.
Yeah.
So when it first happened, I wasn't sure how to react to it, because
Yeah.
it's like, all right, is this a real death? Is he going to be back season premiere next season? And it wasn't until I started seeing the news about Jason Ralph exiting the show that I realized, like, oh, this is for sure.
Well, I mean, they said the same thing about Kit. So
Right.
during Game of Thrones.
That's true. That's true.
And-
And I was thinking about that, and we'll
Yeah.
get to that later on as we talk about this episode.
Yeah, but when you check Jason's social media, it's just like he disappeared for the past 3 months. So
Interesting.
just
Interesting.
saying.
Well, there is a whole lot to get to. I mean, we'll start out from the beginning. Let's talk about this. You know, Julia's got this whole kind of dress up montage as Penny is about to take her out on a date. He's got a friend that does meteor magic. But of course, one of the magic surges just makes meteors start striking all over the place. Turns out magic is everywhere, and that's having some consequences.
Yeah, so they got magic back, we already had magic back. They got magic from
I
the
had to think about that too.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, was magic gone? Was it back?
It's back,
back.
but now it's like just free flowing.
Now it's the exact 180 opposite
Yeah.
of, was it the beginning of season 2 where there was no magic at all?
Season 2 was no magic.
Yeah.
Season 3 was magic limited by the librarians.
There you go.
And now they have too much magic.
Wait, wasn't that season 4?
This
And
is-
we're in season 5.
No,
is season 4.
Season 4.
I'm like, we're in season 5.
Season 4 was Elliot being possessed by the monster.
We are in season. Oh
We're in
my
season
god,
5.
we're in
This
season
is-
5.
This is season 5, y'all.
Dear Lord, sorry guys. Well then,
The timeline
the librarians.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
I do a lot of.
So we have a lot of magic. That's
Yeah.
basically what's
There's a
happening.
surplus of magic.
The librarians
happening.
and Elliot were at the same time.
There you go. Okay,
That's
there
all
you go.
last
There you
season.
go. There you go. See, we're getting there, y'all. We're getting there. We're gonna catch up here.
Crazy.
But because of that surplus of magic, now everyone's going to Brakebills, and it's got some serious overcrowding.
Public school.
Exactly. Right.
I love
That's
Exactly.
messed up, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see Dean Fogg, who's off the sauce. You know, he's getting there, but because of the overcrowding, they need to pull Penny in to become a professor for newfound travelers.
I think that makes sense. I'm always hesitant when the people you're introduced to become like the version of someone else you were introduced to earlier. Like, it's like when people introduce kids into, or Grey's Anatomy introduced a whole new set of interns as Ellen Pompeo became like a full-fledged doctor.
Right.
I get nervous about that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're wondering if this is like the Magicians, the next generation, the new class?
A little bit, but also at the same time, I understand why they did that, because the actors themselves are so much older.
Right.
You know, and I think they were already in their late 20s, early 30s when they started the show, and now they're like 30s, mid 30s, maybe even like getting closer to 40.
Sure.
Probably not. But but I think it makes sense to kind of put them in that position, and it makes sense to put Penny in that position, especially because it would be nice to see him in a role of leadership for once.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for him. I love how you forget that there's no travelers, and then it brought me back to that original scene where he goes into the classroom and it's just him. So I love that idea. I also think I would love if he was my teacher. Side note, Penny came to me in a dream last night, and I was like, oh, so I am a magician. Let's go.
Wait, Penny or Arjun Gupta came to you?
That's what I was
I
wondering.
couldn't decipher. I went with Penny, though.
Interesting.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Either would be totally fine, though.
Exactly.
Let's be clear.
Friend of the show. We had him on in season 1.
And season 2.
And season 2.
I love him.
Hoping to get him back. But I love that kind of like, you know, the kind of teacher that Penny's gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, like very no nonsense. And I love that.
Existential.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that he kind of gets called out on it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so that like generation, I feel like, of college students right now, they like impress me. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I did think, I was like, I don't think they're going to be consistent characters, just because they
Except
were,
the girl. I
except the
think.
girl,
Yeah.
maybe, but they were kind of dressed. I was like, they're so like affected in their dress.
Sure.
Yeah, the one
It
white
feels
dude
like-
that's like Post
It was like-
Malone in
Yeah.
magic school.
I was like, are y'all
It's like,
just
what's
y'all
up,
just
bro?
enhancing your like you know? Listen, I do a ton of co-stars, but like you know when you're there for the guest star and you're there for the co-star by how they dress you. Like
That's hilarious. Yeah,
I
exactly.
was like, okay.
So in his kind of plea for Penny to come help and become a professor, Fogg has him sign an insurance policy, which, surprise, surprise, it's actually an employment contract.
But were we really that surprised?
I was a little bit. I thought I wasn't expecting something like that from Dean Fogg.
He's the self-preservation god.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
He is playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers.
Yeah, that's a
He
good
did
point.
that whole episode where he knew he was going to lose his memory, and he punched a dude in the face, and he had Todd do his memoir. I mean, that's such a great
icon.
episode.
It is.
Oh,
you
it's
know.
Todd. I hope
So
we get
he's
more
about
Todd.
that. Yes.
But yeah, and so he kind of breaks it down for Penny. Sure, you could sue, but or we would sue you. Actually,
And
you
we
could
will
try
find
to run.
you.
We'll find you. Brakebills lawyers notoriously persistent.
Such a good play on the real world, though. They're like jury servers.
Of course, yeah, exactly. Yeah, imagine getting a summons in the world of Brakebills and the Magicians.
Well, it's just like the bankers when they went to rob the bank. It's like, this is what the world would be like if magicians ran banks. It's like, oh, gosh. Like,
Yeah.
No, you're not robbing a bank.
Right, absolutely.
like, at all.
Yeah. And so, but Penny kind of comes around, he's not going to necessarily always be this hard ass. He realizes there's a flip side to that coin, there's a positive side to being a traveler. And so he takes these, this handful of ragtag students and takes them to a whole other planet.
Yeah.
And to kind of show them the power of traveling.
I just have to say, I did think that was a great scene to kind of see him come full circle. But I also think his relationship with Julia, which I was unsure about last year, has made for such a nice sense of seeing two people grow with each other and nurture each other and really know how to communicate with each other, even though there's still that conflict of her being like, don't make decisions for me, right?
Yeah.
And which is a hang up from him
Yeah.
taking her magic away.
Sure.
I agree, and even if you stayed for after the episode when the whole cast got together, he said the word partnership between them. That's exactly what it is. It's more of a partnership, which I really
Yeah.
like. Some of I do think that it's an interesting creative choice to make his character arc that quick as a professor. Kind of shows that that's probably not going to be the forefront of his story this season.
Right.
Because he's already being like the cool guy, the
Yeah.
cool teacher you want to hang out with. Like
Exactly.
he's like Miss Frizzle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bristle.
But they also did that thing with was it Meredith?
I had heard Mara. I wasn't sure if it was Meredith. Guys, let us know in the chat.
Oh, there's no chat today.
Well,
Let us
let us know on
YouTube.
Twitter. Let us know on YouTube. You know how to get a hold of us.
Tweet us at AfterBuzz TV or any of us if
There
you
you
guys
go.
want to keep in contact with us right now for this
For
episode.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. Whatever she released when he put down his wards, I think that's going to be his main storyline this year. Whatever he felt that pulled him away.
Yeah,
and
whatever
then he'd
that
come
signal
back.
was. Yeah, exactly.
And I wonder if it was. Yeah, it couldn't have been. I don't know if I trust her or if she just has something in her that she
Right.
released to him.
when he had kind of started panicking and trying to put his wards back up, I wasn't sure, like, all right, is this something that she did to him on purpose?
Yeah.
You know, like, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we still don't know. She's,
Right.
playing innocent, but we've seen that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty
Yeah.
much, that was where we had left Penny. So we'll see
Yeah.
kind of what that signal is and where he went, basically. Can't be anything good, obviously. But, we talked a little bit about that partnership with Julia. So let's talk a little bit about Julia's kind of little corner of the episode.
Yeah.
Coming home to find Sir Effingham, this Fillory pig man.
That
Yes.
name, Effingham. Are you
Yes.
effing kidding me? That's so good. That's the part of the magician's writing I'm so on board
Man,
for.
Those
I'm not
puns.
gonna lie.
Perfect.
Did not hit me until just now.
Yeah, me
Until you
neither.
said that, but that
Me neither.
Is
but,
genius.
It's great. Effingham. Yes. I really like what they're doing with. Just how they're approaching women's stories. And sorry for all the people who are like, oh, here she goes. But here I go.
That's what this show is, y'all. We're coming up on season 5.
am now.
Y'all know what it is.
Let's do it again. But just the whole idea of Penny asking for consent to travel. I was like, I see you. I
Right.
see you. And then also just the the Effingham just being so misogynistic.
Right,
Oh,
right.
And also just having Penny come back and be like, he said what?
Yeah.
It was just so nice to see that they're still having the commentary that those mindsets are still out there. And let's break them down. And we're going to break them down. And
Yeah.
you're going to follow Julia this year on a massive quest.
Yeah.
I love that too. I think that sometimes it hits aggressively and you're like, all right, we see the point that you're bringing. But that's, I think, the game you play when you have conscious writing. And I would way rather them doing that and kind of owning the upfrontness about it than not doing it, because I think it is absurd that we give women good storylines, but we don't commentate on the absurd, like the world which we live in. And the fact that he was a pig is so
Yes.
characteristic of what these misogynistic pigs are in the real world. He's like, great credit to your gender.
Symbolism.
Listen. The magicians, people are like, you're putting it on the magicians. I'm like, no, the magicians is just straight up telling you who they are. Like, they have no qualms about being like, we're talking about this now.
I love their writers room.
Yes.
Right.
Gotta love it.
And so the fact that he's come back specifically just to see Quentin,
Yes.
because he's the man at the head of this story. There's no way Julia could ever help with this apocalyptic.
Yeah, the goddess versus the guy who his specialty was tiny trinkets. Sorry.
It was true. I mean, it did save the world that he had tiny trinkets, but she was also a goddess.
Yeah, I love Quentin, R.I.P.
Yeah.
We miss you. But she's a goddess.
Right.
The only
But I
reason-
love when she told Effingham that, and he was like, "Oh yes, and you're still quite fetching," like just completely
Yeah.
so obtuse to everything.
So oblivious.
Yeah.
I did like the promotion, promoting material for this season is an image of Margo, Julia, and Alice, I believe, just kind of standing, looking triumphant. And I was like, all this like kind of sad, but I don't think I've ever seen like
Three.
a promotional material of 3 women
Interesting.
standing and looking triumphant for
I love
a
it.
sci-fi show.
I love it so
Like,
much.
You know, usually.
And I do think in terms of where the season can go, they can hit that so hard
Yeah.
because in a lot they are fair writers. Like no one's character arc is dependent on their gender or their background.
Exactly.
Everyone built their own way. And with the women, specifically Julia and Alice, both of them have completely effed everyone over in some way. So this could be I mean everyone does that, but I mean not turn off magic, but they can come back, and I think them uniting, because they haven't really done that, the women, as much, it could be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So Julia's kind of off to just figure out whatever this apocalyptic catastrophe is, and she's gonna figure it out. She's gonna figure out how to stop it. I was a little bit surprised that she had just kind of let him go instead of like kind of pressing him a little bit. But I'm interested to see how she goes about just figuring this out. You know?
I guess she's still insecure.
Yeah, she lost magic and then only got it back because her best friend died. You know, I would have
brother.
I would have some insecurities about that as well, and also just and I like that they gave her the storyline of her like she's like I have to do something good with this magic,
Right.
Because for so long they denied her magic, and then they gave her epic magic, and then they denied it from her again. It's like just let Julia have magic.
Right. Exactly.
Let the woman
Leave
have
her
magic.
alone.
So we talked about Sir Effingham, Julia's visitor from Fillory. So let's go over to Fillory, 300 years into the future,
Yes.
where Margo and Elliot are. They're finding out about this Dark King, and kind of everything that happened. And I love this kind of procession of cosplayers that they find.
Yes.
I know.
Led by Pri.
I was so confused.
Same.
Me too.
At end of last season, when they just come back to Fillory and they've been overthrown, I was like, what are you talking about? 300? Yeah, I don't understand.
Right.
But then when you go back, they kind of like gave you the gentle reminder that time works differently in Fillory than it does on Earth. And
Yeah.
I did love the cosplay because what a nice meta moment of of a sci-fi show acknowledging its fans. You know, so often like you watch sci-fi and they never acknowledge that people do once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, 6 times a year get dressed up and go honor the shows that they love. So to have that happen was really cool. I don't know about this Dark Wizard. I don't know who it's going to end up being.
Right.
but-
So yeah,
I
we find out real quick through this play, which I thought was a really kind of clever narrative device. They find out exactly what the Great Unshackling was that happened hundreds of years ago. Basically, with Fen and Josh kind of in charge. The Takers came into Fillory. The Borderlands were overrun, and then the Dark Wizard kind of came and saved the day.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, that remains to be seen exactly how he did that or exactly what happened.
Yeah. I think it's the stories that people want to tell. It's like Game of Thrones when they tell the story of,
Yeah.
you know, what's his face being beheaded. Sorry, it's not that Ned. There we go.
Right.
We all know how we
He
feel
was
about
in
Game
one
of Thrones.
episode, but he made a big impact.
Yeah, he was in a whole season. But yeah, just that people tell the stories that they want to tell versus what's the actual truth. So I'm curious to see what the real truth of
What happened. And
between them
300
was.
years, I mean, we know even from U.S. history, we just make shit up at that point. Whatever sounds good to the government, they'll tell. So I think it's funny that they're also making a play on that. And I wonder who he is, too, if we've seen him before, if it's a character that's outwitted everyone in a sense, if he's bringing the apocalypse.
Right. If it's Todd. Not to get into predictions
man,
just
I
yet.
hope
but
it's Todd.
If it was Todd.
Because where is Todd?
Right? Hashtag where's Todd? Get it trending. So Margo and Elliot, they're determined to kind of set back the clocks, literally. When it turns out when Margo was king, she had started these excavations to get to the center. So they slide.
A giant slide.
They slide all the way down to the center of Fillory, find the Clock Dwarf. Turns out turning back time isn't quite as easy as they had hoped.
No, the Clock Dwarf just was like, we can't do it. That will start the apocalypse. So something's starting the apocalypse.
Right, exactly.
And it's probably happening in Fillory. Or it could be the guy who's buzzing into Penny's brain. So it's nice that they're setting the seeds that it could be any of these, and one of these is certainly a red herring.
Yeah. So we got a lot of tension also between Elliot and Margot over Elliot kind of being in denial of this grieving process over Quentin's death. But they don't get too much time to stew about it because Margot gets knocked out and thrown in jail.
Yeah, and then she sees that Josh
in the cell with Josh's ghost.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen Elliot in this state before. This is how he handled a similar slaughtering
100%.
that happened to him.
It's pretty.
Happened next to him.
Yeah, it's Elliot's MO.
It's an
for sure.
interesting take to do it again. I think he'll snap out of it quickly because, as we've seen, all the characters are kind of approaching death in a different way than we've seen in the past.
Right.
So I don't know. Elliot and Margot are my favorite pair, so I'm glad they're the ones stuck together in Fillory right now.
Yeah.
I like how they're dealing with Elliot's grief this year. I feel like it's nice to see people go through the stages of grief, and that
Each of them are different.
Each of them are different. I think if they all had their own stages, and I don't know if I remember them right now. One, Elliot's denial, Alice's anger, Julia is the one where you try and fix it.
Yeah.
Like there's a name for that.
Sure.
And then Penny's acceptance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
and
there
there's
you go.
probably one I'm missing.
Cheers.
A hell of a breakdown.
Crown this queen.
Yeah. So speaking of that grieving process, we see Alice, who's being kind of, sort of harangued by the librarian and by Phyllis because they need a phosphomancer to unlock this book that has been completely wiped.
Yes.
She is so unassuming in the way she moves, and then she's better than everyone, basically, at magic, and it always gets me.
Right.
Oh, what's she gonna do?
Right. And it turns out even Zelda kind of after continuously getting refused has sort of gone off on her own.
I was like, what's going on with all the actors this season?
Yeah.
It's like half of them are just gone.
A very meta sort of.
Y'all got rid of 4 people?
You
They
don't
all-
want that residual check? What?
Get that money now. They'll probably be back. But get that money.
So eventually Alice, and along the way she's also she's living with her mom. They seem to be, kind of bonding a little bit more than before.
They're better than not.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Alice finally agrees to help Phyllis out, but of course, she's got her own plans as well.
I was not expecting that.
No, right?
Well, I wasn't expecting her mom to be like, sometimes you just gotta do some crazy shit, do something crazy. I wasn't expecting that, but it was nice to see her give her that permission, because sometimes I feel like we never see parents just go, I understand that sometimes you got to break down and you'll build yourself back up.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, having her have all that living clay that Dean Fogg did say people were still in the living clay.
And that was so clever, because I thought that was just a complete throwaway line. He was just like, someone stole all the living clay. And I did not think about it until the very end of this episode.
Yeah.
It is crazy when you think about how screwed everyone's life has been. Like if we're just looking at Alice, she's lost everyone except for her mom, who she was the least close with.
Yeah, and she's died too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And slaughtered.
Yeah.
So finally, let's talk a little bit about Kady and Pete. Their kind of corner of the world. Of course, the library is not following through with removing the Reed's marks as they said they would from the hedge witches. So we've got guys literally blowing their own arms off, trying to use magic still.
I'm still just not a fan of Pete.
Right.
We'll see if they give him growth, but just the way he was used first season just kind of always rubbed me the wrong way.
Of course, yeah.
And
That he was loyal to.
Well, no, that he definitely got a little salty with Julia,
in
and
the
then
bathroom.
she slept with him 2 episodes later, and it was just kind of ugh.
Right.
But so we'll see what they do. I feel like their storyline needs a little bit more development, and we'll see more as it goes on.
Sure.
And it's a hard sell to I don't feel like they develop the hedge witches enough. So
Right.
sometimes I just don't
Yeah, it's a really powerful story to tell, and it makes sense in normal society to think about the power complex of it, but they didn't dive into it. So
Yeah.
it's always been a half fleshed out story.
Yeah.
Right. So turns out and this was also something interesting that, Gavin, the ex-librarian that they had kind of gone to see about finding out how to remove these, the Reed's marks, says that library contracts aren't valid once the place collapses, which I think we'll definitely kind of be seeing more of the effects and consequences of as the season goes on.
Wait, what about Penn? Well, he's dead. But what about Penn?
That's what I was wondering. That's exactly what I was
Penny
wondering.
Fody.
Right, exactly. Because that was a lifetime contract, but if it's all null and void, who knows? But he tips them off to this former library book depository that nobody's hit just yet. But of course, it's extremely dangerous to rob.
And nowhere to be found.
Right.
Which I think is how they're going to end up going to Alice.
Oh, interesting.
So, because she knows where that book is, she can probably run the library whenever she wants and give them the access.
Right. So yeah, Kady and Pete go to where that building should be, and it is nowhere to be found. And not only that, but everyone kind of in the vicinity has been wiped as to its entire existence.
Which is, I think, another clue to something big and powerful potentially starting the apocalypse. Another red herring.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, that's where we sort of leave things off, and especially with Alice kind of building this clay, this living clay body with the help of Quentin's book from the library and also his copy of The World in the Walls with all of his kind of writing in the margins, everything like that.
We'll see.
There's a lot.
Frankenstein.
There's a lot happening. We still got a little bit more to get into. Adrian, we talked a little bit about this new variation of a segment, so
I'll
take us there.
be as quick as possible. It's called Witchcraft, Sorcerer, and Dragons. Because guess what, you guys? There's no gods this year.
Right? It's
Not
a whole
really.
different season.
So we're going to change it up a bit, and we're going to focus on what the show talks about, which is the magicians, which is a form of like sorcery, wizardry, witchcraft. So just a little truth and a little fiction. The truth is one of the earliest records of witchcraft is actually from the Bible. It's from Book of Samuel, Book of 1. I don't know. There's a typo. And it talks about the witch of Endor, who King Saul sought out to summon the dead poet Samuel's, summoning the dead, and help him defeat the Philistine army. So when she summoned Samuel, it turns out that he basically gave her a prophecy that within a few days, the king and all his sons would be dead. And so the next day, his sons died on the field, and the king committed suicide. And that's the first kind of origin story we have, at least in Judeo-Christian religion, of there being a witch.
Sure.
And so I also just want to say that she's been used in like film as well. So the show of Kings and Prophets, Lynn Renee played the Witch of Endor, and so that's just a little fun fact on that.
Nice.
Interesting.
With that said, we don't ever really talk about like warlocks as much, and really in society, even with magicians, it's like they're magicians, they're not warlocks. When Harry Potter is technically a warlock, but we don't really call him that. So I wanted to give like just a little history about Merlin. So Merlin is a legend created by, supposedly created by the bard, or inspired by the bard Merlin. The reason they changed the name to Merlin is because they felt that Merlin sounded too much like merde, which is French for shit.
Right.
And so the creator of the stories of the magical Merlin changed it to Merlin.
Oh, wow, okay.
Now, he was inspired by a combination of Merlin, the bard, who's like, just kind of a poet and like PTSD dude, just wandering the street, the trees or the forest at the time. That's what they said a bard was. It kind of blew my mind. And then also Ambrosius Aurelianus, which was one of the war leaders during the time of Arthur. They basically took both of them and merged them together to create this leader, or this person who basically gives advice to Arthur, and that's how we got the legend of Merlin. There's a few different types, but that's the one that was created by Colin Morgan.
Love it.
Interesting.
I love Merlin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also on Netflix.
Also a TV show, yes.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It was not inspired by Colin Morgan. Colin Morgan, oh my God, Colin Morgan is the actor who plays Merlin on
There you go.
the TV show.
There you go. We'll get there.
Oh, he was inspired by some old guy.
Well, thank you for that. We're going to be
Yes.
learning more about witches and wizards as the season goes on. But of course, Steph Sabraw, you got some news and gossip
yes,
for us?
Yes, I do. Some cool news and gossip featuring some of our leading ladies of the magicians. Fen, aka Brittany Curran, got engaged to her boyfriend James Ingram in Paris. And it was really cute. She posted a bunch of photos on Instagram. I just wanted to show her some love. People magazine covered it. It was a good time. Cute couple. Happy for her. And another great story from page 6. Sarah Gamble, she is a co-creator of The Magicians, but also of You, both highly, highly successful shows.
Sure.
People are obsessed with You right now. And she, it's interesting because both are adapted from stories beforehand. So she was talking about the creative process of it and how awesome it is to be able to just expand on already beautiful work that's done. So it's cool to see women continuing to be in the forefront of or moving to be in the forefront of entertainment and have someone like her so involved. So check that article out. It's on page6.com.
There you go. Thank you very much,
you.
Steph. And thank you guys. Should we get into some rapid fire, just ultra rapid fire predictions?
Yes.
The
Okay.
quickest predictions you've ever heard.
Predictions.
Steph, go.
Okay, I think that Quentin is going to come back in some way.
There you go.
I do too. Todd is a wizard.
Todd is a wizard and also 2 pennies. We're getting penny
Yes.
forwarding back.
Penny Forward.
Guys, thank you so much once again for joining us. We are so excited to be back for the 5th go-around.
I can't believe it.
Right? Absolutely. But guys, where can they find you?
I'm Steph Sabraw. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Steph Sabraw.
I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA, as well as Tuesdays on the X-Pac 12360 podcast right here on AfterBuzz TV. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel, talking season 5, episode 2. But until then, peace.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.